Hello and welcome to 5-Minute Math. Today we are looking at the 4th grade concept of area and perimeter. This is standard 4.5D in the great state of Texas, and we are using item number 8 off the 2017 released STAAR test. If you have not done so already, please go ahead and take a moment to pause the video, work this problem out on your own, unpause it, and then we will look at our answers together. So we have Bonnie. Bonnie has a rectangular picture of her dog. We have that dog right here. And then we're supposed to use the ruler provided to measure the length and width of the picture to the nearest inch. Well, since it's on a computer screen, we can't actually take a ruler or hold it up to the computer screen because it would change size based on whether you're sitting on your tablet or your phone or a desktop computer. So I actually cut out copies of the rulers that are provided in the STAAR test and put them up, as you can see. So I've got one right here. Then I've got one that kind of goes from here to here, just to simulate what it would look like if you had to provide your own measurements, because they do not provide any measurements. Now they are asking for the area. That's going to be very important for us to note the difference between the area and the perimeter. We will find both, and I believe that we will see that both actually happen to have their numbers here in our answer selections. But first, we've got to measure. If we can't measure, we're not going to be able to find area or perimeter. So notice here that when we measure, we always put the 0 right on one of the edges here. So this 0 is going to be lined up with this edge right here. And we say which measurement is closest, because it might not be exact. Now in these cases, it is pretty close. So that 0 goes right there, and this edge goes pretty close to that 3. So we're just going to call this 3 inches. We're going to call that bottom width 3 inches, which means this top here is 3 inches as well, since it is a rectangle. And then you see we've got our 0 going on the bottom, and it goes all the way up, and it goes pretty close to that 5 inches. So there's my 5 inches right there. There's my 3 right there. So we'll call each of these lengths 5 inches. And that's really all that we need our rulers for. And if they wanted to, they could have given us those measurements. But it's just a little bit more difficult when we have to measure ourselves. And the key is always lining up that 0 with one of the edges of the rectangle. Or if you're measuring a line, with one of the edges of the line. If it's not lined up with a 0, then everything else gets messed up. Now let's go back to this area right here. We need to find the area, and sometimes we'll kind of mix up the area in the perimeter. Well, the area is the inside. In 3rd grade, when we learned it, we would put little squares in here. So we might put little squares like this, and we say, well, there's 3-inch squares across. We might say there's going to be 5-inch squares going up and down. That's the area. The perimeter is the outside. And when I think of perimeter, I always think of that word rim. That is inside that word perimeter. I think of like a basketball rim. We always shoot it. There's always a little net. But the basketball rim is the outside. It's the metal around the outside. So we're not looking for that. We're looking for the area, because the area is inside. And so how do we find the area of a rectangle? That is also on your mathematics chart if you don't have that. And that is going to be simply length times width. So we have 5 inches times, I'm going to use the little dot right there to symbolize my multiplication, 3 inches. And so 5 times 3, that equals 15. And you see that they give you square inches, because we're also multiplying the inches times the inches. You're going to see that as square inches, or sometimes you might see it like this, inches with that little 2. That also means square inches. And if you counted, you could count, we've got 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 inches across. Now, that's our answer. If we were to do perimeter, we would say 5 and 3 is 8. 5 and 3 is 8. That would be 16 if we added up around. And you see 16 is an answer, but we're not going to choose that. We're going to choose F, 15 square inches.